Longhorn Startup is designed to give student entrepreneurs the ability to work on their startups while they're in school.
I am currently studying my MBA
in electrical engineering,
master's in advertising,
international relations, and Latin American studies.
Plan 2 business honors major.
I'm a computer scientist about to graduate from law school.
In the fall we have the seminar, and it's designed to inspire students and expose us to every entrepreneur on campus. We kick things off with open pitch pizza, when anybody from any school can come in and pitch their idea at the beginning of
single week. I highly encourage everybody to do so.
And then every week we bring in incredible guest speakers. We're talking about entrepreneurs like Kendra Scott, and investors like Mike Maples, inventors like Bob Metcalf, and incredible CEOs like Heather Bruner. They come ask them questions and learn about what it takes to be a great entrepreneur.
Their advice was super useful when I was building my own startup.
And it kind of shows you that it's very much possible to be in their shoes.
In the spring we have the lab, and in order to get into the lab, you can't just have an idea. You actually have to have a startup and a team, and you apply together. Once you're in the lab, then you get time and space to work on your startup while you're in school. There's no lectures, there's no assignments, it's all time working on your startup.
Sometimes it can be overwhelming. I'm like, what do I do? Who do I talk to? This really helps, a business owner kind of focus in on one thing each week.
Week in and week out, we're always going to have expectations. We always have some kind of goal.
But you're not alone. Every team gets matched up with 2 local mentors that meet with them every week to help keep them accountable and push them forward. And then in addition to that, we bring in guest mentors every week for other amazing entrepreneurs and investors to plug you in and give you advice.
I get really good feedback and really personal feedback every single week. It's not like it's a 10-minute conversation with a mentor.
You really get everything you need to go from concept to product market fit to actually launching a business.
Every startup in the lab gets a stipend up front and competes for an investment prize at the end, which is awarded at a demo day with 1,000 people in the audience.
The lab helped us materialize that idea and help it become a reality.
The lab's not just about bringing great mentors into the university. It's also about bringing the students outside into the real world, which we do at Capital Factory, the center of gravity for entrepreneurs in Austin, and an incredible co-working space and mentor network that's available to all the students.
Capital Factory is awesome. It's a beautiful place to work.
It's just such an engaging environment to be in.
I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be there.
So the Longhorn Startup Lab, I think, is one of the most amazing opportunities that entrepreneurs have on this campus.
It gives us a lot of opportunity to learn from other entrepreneurs.
Really being able to learn from great founders that have built amazing companies is one of the best opportunities that you could ever have.
Well, all right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our 9th year of Longhorn Startup. We have 12 really amazing student-led companies presenting today. This is a culmination of their work across the entire semester. My favorite day of the year. I love seeing the results of all their hard work from when they started 12 weeks ago to today. It's just profound. So thank you for joining us. Thanks for all the students who have worked so hard to get here today. It's going to be a fun time. I want to introduce Josh Baer, who is the creator of Longhorn Startup. He started it, 9 years ago with Bob Metcalf and Johnny Butler. I was actually a guest mentor at the time and joined as co-instructor several years ago. And it's just been really great to watch the program grow and serve so many students and launch so many amazing companies. So with that, Josh, thank you for the opportunity to work with Longhorn Startup, and take it away. I want to let you kick it off.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Melly. We're so glad to have all you join us today, and so excited to showcase these 12 amazing student entrepreneur startups that you're going to get to see. And as you can see on the slide now, the one big kind of call to action or takeaway for all the students watching is to register for the class for next semester. And as you saw, there's 2 parts of a seminar and a lab. The seminar's in the fall, the lab's in the spring. This is the lab right now for students that actually have startups and that are working on them. But the seminar is open to everybody. Anybody can take the seminar and learn about entrepreneurship, get exposed, meet other people that want to start startups and try to form teams and start them so that you can take the lab the next semester. And it's designed so that anybody can take it. We've got course numbers in computer science, engineering, fine arts, communications, management. We're working on more of them. And the computer science group is open to everybody in the university. So everybody can sign up for that CS section if you want to take it. And if you get it, and hopefully everybody can get credit for it within their own schools. So really want to encourage you to do that. But as Melly said, this class really is about finding the great entrepreneurs at UT Austin that are already working on interesting projects and doing real things and getting them all the support of the university that we can to help them. That starts by connecting with people that are going to make the biggest difference for them. And so I want to give a big shout out and thank you to the many dozens of local mentors who volunteered their time every week to help these startups. Every week, CEOs of local companies come in and meet with the entrepreneurs and give them advice and help them. And they've been amazing through that, and even through our transition to doing it all over Zoom and virtually. So a big shout out to all the mentors. Thank you for volunteering your time and helping out and helping these entrepreneurs. And I also want to give a shout out, like Melly said, we've been doing this for almost 10 years. This is our 20th semester. And so we've been doing quite a bit of it, our 18th semester, sorry. And so it's, we've been doing it for quite a while. We've had a lot of startups come through, and some of the companies that have come through that have gone on to get funding to go through Y Combinator and Capital Factory and raise funding from Excel and Silverton and others are companies like Beak with Pamela Valdez down in Mexico, who's now in Mexico City, and companies like New Wash Car Wash. More recently, Hitch Travel, who's helps get back and forth between college towns, and now is doing other kinds of deliveries as well. And so lots of interesting companies have go on and raise millions of dollars and be very successful. And you're going to get to see today which of the ones here could be that next one. And to kick it off, we've got an incredible guest speaker, and I'm going to introduce him in just a minute. But at the end, there's also the culmination of all of this is a $25,000 investment prize that one of the startups here is going to get. And so not all of them are looking for an investment. So it's not, you shouldn't assume that everyone applied for it, but many of them did. And one of them will get a $25,000 investment at the end of this. So as you're watching, you can think about who you would vote for. And in the comments, you can make comments about which ones you like or things like that. And we'll be watching for those too, but you'll find out at the end who the winner is. So to kick things off, though, we're so fortunate to have a great friend of UT Austin, a great friend of Capital Factory, a great friend of Austin in general, Mike Maples, to be our keynote today. And Mike is widely recognized as one of the top investors in the world. He had spent a lot of time here in Austin and lived here for a while, but moved out to Silicon Valley when he started Floodgate, which is his venture capital firm, along with a couple other partners. And very early on was one of the first investors in companies like Twitter and Chegg and Lyft and a lot of other great companies that you've heard of and we all use every day. And that's part of what makes him one of the best investors in the world. And he's no stranger to Longhorn Startup. He's been a keynote here at one of our demo days many years ago, where he was interviewed by Bob Metcalf talking about thunder lizards. And he's been to speak to our class in person too, directly with the students. And so, but we're so lucky to have him here today for this keynote, talking about one of his latest concepts that he wrote, which is around backcasting. You can, as a startup founder, how you can, in some ways, predict the future and work backwards. And that's what we're going to hear about today. So we're so fortunate to have Mike with us. Of course, the ultimate outcome is we want to see him, continuing making other great investments in Austin. He's investing in companies like Data.World and Bizarre Voice and many others too. So who knows? Maybe if you do a really good job, you might even get a call from Mike after this. But to all of us, we're going to hear some of his predictions about what startups should be thinking about now moving forward. And so, Mike, thank you for joining us today. I have one more slide with your picture on it too. I should have had that up while we were talking. But thanks so much for joining us today from Silicon Valley. And I'm going to hand it off to you.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Josh. And I'm excited to be here. So I hope I can, let's see if sharing will, I think that attendee screen sharing, I need to enable that, I think.
All right, let us get on that for you. Just a second.
Now I just made you co-host, so you should be able to do it now, Mike.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Great. So, okay, let's do this. Can everybody see?
Share. Yes, you're good and sound good and look good. Working? And we see your slides.
Okay, let's rock and roll. Okay. Well, everybody, thanks for having me. Hopefully this is useful. let's just, without any further ado, let's just get to it. So let's see, click to slideshow. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of a view. There we go. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about what I like to call building breakthroughs. So, there's a whole bunch of startups that get created every year, arguably on the order of about 20,000. And about 10 of them a year end up creating about 95% of the value in the industry. And it's tempting to think of the great entrepreneurs as some type of superheroes that wear capes and just don't occupy the world like us normal mere mortals. But what I've really learned is that it's more accurate to say that there are 10 to 20 great breakthrough insights a year. And it's the insights that are the force multiplier of the entrepreneur. It's the asymmetric weapon that allows people to build these incredible breakthroughs. And so I've gotten interested in that topic recently because it's my job to try to find these breakthrough ideas before they're even companies. So the first thing I'd like to point out is that the future doesn't happen to us. And a lot of the conversations about product market fit bug me in this regard. A lot of the conversations about product market fit act as if the market is something that's already there to be discovered. But the future and markets, when we're talking about startups, aren't like that. They're not something that's already there to be discovered. The future happens because of us. And so if you look at, say, Steve Jobs with the iPhone and the iPad and the iPod, he didn't discover a market for any of those things. What he did instead was design a different future and brought us from the present with him into that future. Great founders, it turns out, start movements. And they start movements by helping us understand how to think about what a better future would look like, and helping us understand how to think about why we should be willing to get out of our present state of comfort and go into sort of an uncertain, brave new world. Just like Elon Musk taught us how to think about electric cars. But the market wasn't looking for $100,000 electric cars when Elon Musk started to work on Tesla. And so the key thing, though, that I would like to point out as well is that, like I said earlier, these people aren't necessarily superheroes who wear capes. Now, I'll grant you Elon and Steve are pretty effective at entrepreneurship, but I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs who have ended up being one of these top 10 startups of the year, and they're surprisingly more normal than you think. But very often they're powered with better insights than other founders, which gives them a huge head start. So, founders who want to create these extraordinary outcomes need the right tools. And so what I wanted to talk about was some of the secrets that we found for building these breakthroughs. And these are the patterns that I've noticed in some of the very best founders, the super performers who've had the $1 billion plus outcomes. And so the first thing that I think is the secret is don't just get out of the building, get out of the present. And so it turns out that, like if you think about customer development, and I think it's been a great movement and it's been very powerful and I highly recommend people do it. But the metaphor is a scientist running experiments, getting out of the building. The metaphor for insight development is a time traveler getting out of the present. And what entrepreneurs really do when you think about it is they go out into the future, they discover opportunities for a better but counterintuitive future, and then they come back to the present and they bring folks who are living into the present into that future, one at a time, until their idea of the future becomes the conventional wisdom. And so that gathering movement is what the entrepreneur has to create, and it's the moving backward and into the past and then forward into the future that makes the entrepreneur like a time traveler. So, and I would just caveat this as well with a warning. If you stay in the present, you're likely to start a mundane startup. So most of the mundane startups that I've seen start when a founder goes straight to trying to find current customer pain, goes straight to trying to find white space in current markets. And by definition, if you do that, you're framing your value proposition relative to what most people think is true today. And if you do that, then you're not going to have an idea that's different enough to be enough of a breakthrough to have the type of escape velocity that the great startups that we've observed have had. And so, you know, customer development's the tool for getting out of the building. Backcasting is the tool for getting out of the present. And that's what I'm going to spend the rest of the time talking about. So how do you do backcasting? Well, the first thing that you do is you don't jump to ideas too quickly. And so I like to say, if you want to come up with a breakthrough startup, the counterintuitive lesson is don't try to think of a startup. Because if you start by trying to think of a startup, you immediately put yourself on a footing in the present. And you start trying to think about markets as if you want to discover white space on a map or uncharted territory on a map. And as I suggested earlier, that's not the right headspace to be in. So the first thing that I recommend is that people start with inflections. And so what are inflections? Let's see. So, you know, exponential inflections power massive breakthroughs. And there's 4 types. The first is technology inflections. These are my favorite types. They're exponential improvements in price performance of a technology. So, you know, we've heard of Moore's law. You can have sensor performance improving, you know, at the edge in terms of what compute is available, bandwidth improvements. You know, some people are talking about 5G, quantum computing. All of those things would be examples of technology inflections. But you can also have adoption inflections. And an adoption inflection is a change in the adoption of a technology. So for example, smartphones went from 0 to over 1 billion within less than 10 years. So that would be an example of an adoption inflection. You know, AirPods might argue that that's an adoption inflection on the horizon. And then you have regulatory inflections. And so one of my recent favorites is the opening up of the ability for doctors to consult in telemedicine over state lines with patients, which was previously illegal. And then you have belief inflections, and this is probably the most subtle. Belief inflections involve changes in the conventional wisdom. And so what happens with belief inflections is what was once considered heresy now becomes the conventional wisdom. So for example, not many people before COVID-19 had actually engaged in a telemedicine visit. But now with COVID-19, without any other options in many cases, that's the default choice. And so now all of a sudden, a lot of patients and doctors are like, hey, wait a minute here. Actually, this works pretty well. Maybe this ought to be the way I do it most of the time, no matter what happens with COVID-19. So now all of a sudden you have a belief inflection about the utility of telemedicine and how easy it is and why I should try it. And so we've talked about 4 different types of inflections. If you really want to get backcasting right, it's also useful to calibrate the inflections because, you know, like for example, I get pitched by a lot of people saying, I think elder care is going to change. And I'll say, great, what do you think are the inflections? And they'll say, well, baby boomers are computer savvy. And I'll say, okay, great. But that's a much more fuzzy rendering than to say, I think Facebook adoption among baby boomers is going to go up 10x, or I think that, you know, 10 times more are going to be on Zoom or whatever the case may be, or that we'll be more willing to do telemedicine visits. And so if you can't calibrate the inflection, quite often that means you're not thinking with enough clarity about it just quite yet. The more variety and magnitude, the better. So variety would be the presence of multiple inflections in your insight. And then magnitude would just be how big they are. And so why does combined inflections matter? Well, it ends up powering your why now. So like, let's just take an example. You know, Josh had mentioned that we'd invested in Lyft. Lyft had 2 really powerful inflections going for it. The GPS locators in the iPhone 3GS became 10 times more accurate. And so now all of a sudden you could imagine a world where you could locate drivers and riders within a city block. And then you could also imagine a world, when we invested in 2010, you could imagine a world where in the future, enough drivers and riders would all have smartphones. And so then you start to say, well, gosh, if I believe there's a world where most people have smartphones that could be located accurately, now I could envision a world where a transportation network is possible. But like, why is the why now so important? Well, I like to assume that every startup idea has been tried by somebody at some time. And so I also like to say all of it will happen. And so the question is not so much if an idea is good or not. Most ideas can happen in some form at some time. The real question is, why is now the time for it to happen? And that's the other weapon that a founder has, is that they have a converging set of circumstances bigger than the startup itself that now can be harnessed by the entrepreneur to create a new value proposition that could have never been done before. If you'd had the idea for Lyft 3 years earlier, it wouldn't have mattered if your idea was right, because the service would have been bad, because people would not have been able to find each other on a map, and there wouldn't be enough people in the first place to make it useful for riders or drivers to use the network. So then the second step then is backcasting from potential futures. And so when we backcast from potential futures, you visualize a cone of potential futures moving out through time. And so I like to say that some futures are projected, which aren't really futures at all. Then you're just doing forecasting. You're projecting from the present forward, which leads the path of a mundane startup. But there are three different types of futures that I've seen in working with founders. The first is called plausible futures. And a good example of a plausible future is Okta. So Todd McKinnon had been VP of engineering at Salesforce. He worked with all the top customers that Salesforce had worked with, and Salesforce was the first important cloud computing company. He saw that people were going to start to adopt more cloud apps. He saw that they were going to run into difficulties reconciling how do you do identity management across cloud apps, how do you do systems management across cloud apps. And so when he described this to me, that made total sense to me. I hadn't thought of it before, but when he described it to me, I couldn't unsee it. It was like, I was like, I think he's right. And I think that if anybody can, he can. If anybody can build an idea on this inside, it would be this guy. And so Todd McKinnon ended up starting Okta. Well, at the time it was called Sasher, with his friend Freddie Karrast, and they end up, the rest is history. Now Okta has a $20 billion market cap. So you can build very big companies based on plausible futures. Usually plausible futures are discovered by people who are already living in that future. They're at a company, they're fairly pragmatic, but they see something that they can't unsee, and they're like, now's my time to start a company. The future isn't going to wait. This is my time. The second type is I call possible futures. And, one of your fellow Austinites is an example of this, Bob Metcalf. But here's Mark Andreessen a little over 25 years ago when he was at the University of Illinois. Most possible futures don't start up as a startup idea at all. And so usually what you find is someone who is tinkering with something related to the future, and they're building what makes the future immediately useful for them. So there's this guy named William Gibson who wrote a book called Neuromancer, and he has a quote that I've always liked: the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. And so if you were Bob Metcalf at Xerox PARC in the 1970s, even though the computers on everybody's desktop were $65,000, if you were Bob Metcalf, you said, well, of course someday everybody will have a computer on their desk, and of course someday people will have WYSIWYG displays, and of course someday people are going to want to stitch these computers together in a network so that they can share laser printers and servers and other devices. And the reason that that was obvious to him was he was living in that future at Xerox PARC. And so on some level, Bob came back to the present as an entrepreneur and then helped bring folks living in the present forward into that future that he'd already seen. Mark Andreessen was at the University of Illinois. He was in a supercomputer lab. He was trying to help researchers and scientists collaborate better. And so he built the Mosaic web browser and web server to make the internet immediately useful for him. And so most possible futures happen when somebody is obsessed with a new field and they can't stop thinking about it, and they start solving problems in that new field to make the field useful for them, to solve their own problem. And now we got this guy. So Preposterous Futures. So I should have mentioned, in possible futures, most people, if you told them, wouldn't really care. So people thought that AT&T and Time Warner and big companies were going to build the digital superhighway before the internet happened. And then you got this 22-year-old college kid making minimum wage who builds the browser. But if you'd shown most people living in the present the browser, they wouldn't have thought Mark's work was important. And most people probably wouldn't have thought Bob Metcalfe's work was important, because they would have thought of it as like researchy, cutting edge stuff that only geeks care about. So, you know, the other thing that I should have mentioned about possible futures is that usually they don't seem that important until all of a sudden they're really important. Now, preposterous futures are futures where you say, hey, you know, say what? So Elon Musk says, I'm going to start a car company, when nobody has started a successful car company in over 50 years. In fact, the last guy who tried and had any momentum was this guy named Tucker, and they made a movie out of what a fiasco it was. And then he says, okay, not only am I going to do that, I'm going to blast rockets into outer space when whole countries can't even have space programs. And so most people just say that's just crazy, that's impossible. But it turns out that Elon is the right kind of crazy, because when you hear him talk about first principles thinking, what he's really doing is describing the inflections that, when he assembles them together, make something that seems preposterous actually possible. And so, you know, a Tesla car leverages improvements in sensors, AI, big data, network effects, battery technology, you know, all of these things coming together, integrated in a fashion where now all of a sudden something that seems preposterous, like a car driving itself, actually becomes reality. So as you consider these different potential alternative futures, you want to start to gather breakthrough insights. And the way I like to recommend people do that is, armed with your inflections, you go out to talk to practitioners and seers. And so practitioners are people who are experts in an inflection you care about, but they're kind of responsible for tangible results in their field. So for example, if you were interested in the future of fintech, you might go take some inflections that you've discovered to a product manager at a place like Stripe or Square or Plaid or folks like that. So usually it's product managers, corp dev, sometimes VCs and angel investors. And what's also true is, quite often the best practitioners can spot authentic seers. And then, of course, you have the seers, and they're studying the future in this inflection area that you care about. Usually they're more interested in studying it, though, than actualizing it. And so a lot of times these people are tinkering with things. They're not really bound by the rules of the present. So the best seers can spot different futures. But it's also important to understand that, like, if you ask a seer to say, if you say, what product should I build, or what product do you think is going to happen in the future, or what product do I need to build into the present to make people move into the future, they don't think of that as an interesting thing to talk about typically. They're much more interested in having an unencumbered discussion about what the future is. And so, and because of that, you know, insights are different from analysis, and insights are what you're ultimately trying to gather. And so you start with the practitioners, and what you're trying to do is educate yourself rapidly, so that when you talk to seers, A, you'll talk to the right ones, B, you'll ask them the right questions, and C, you won't waste your time when you have those limited opportunities. And so, you know, I like to say it this way, you know, in the early days, you spend more time with practitioners, and then as you progress to insights, you spend more time with seers. Practitioners, the key is to talk about their world instead of your ideas. And so a lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake of using these opportunities to say, hey, would you validate my idea? Hey, what do you think of my idea? And that's not what you want to do here. So these would be bad examples of questions. These are things that really what you're trying to do is validate an idea you already have that you're getting attached to. And you don't want to be yet attached because you don't have an insight. And if you jump past the insight phase, your idea might be mundane and you just don't know it yet. These are some examples. I'm not going to go through all of them right now because I know that we have limited time. So I thought I would just have this as a leave behind. But it's, these are examples of the types of questions that you might want to ask. And then you gradually add the Seers. And the conversations with the Seers are different because they're not interested in tactics quite typically. They want to stay in the realm of ideas. And so you're trying to tease out insights that are compelling as well as surprising. These are some good examples of questions that you might ask Seers. With Seers, what you're not asking as many product-related questions or startup-y related questions. And what you're really trying to do is tease out what are the types of futures that are more possible than most people realize who live in the present? And then similarly, what do most people believe is going to happen that you don't believe is going to happen? And so all of these are kind of variations of those types of questions that you're trying to ask. And you're trying to get the Seers to like imagine what is the most preposterous thing that you think could actually come true? What is a totally plausible thing that you think is a good bet? What is somewhere in the middle? And so eventually you start to gather insights, and insights can exist in different points in the future, and they can also exist in different points of the continuum of how plausible they are versus how preposterous they are. And so, great insights are both novel and surprising and based at different points in the future. And you're trying to gather as many as you can because one of those insights might be the one that's most matchable to the startup that you think you want to do someday. And so which insight fits you becomes a critical question. What insight fits your team? What insight fits your experience? What insight fits your risk profile? All those things matter. And so I like to say that ultimately an insight is a bet, and it has two components. The first part of the bet is what I call an intellectual component. An insight really is a future that is more probable than people in the present realize. And it therefore is an underpriced, just like an underpriced stock, it's an underpriced potential future that attracts less competitors in the short term and allows you to approach your product in a way where you'll be non-consensus and right. And even if the insight that you make a bet on is very risky, the upside is so asymmetric that the risk-adjusted return of the bet is what you care about that's really high. So I like to say that's the intellectual part of it. Now, excuse my language, but the gut part of it, the heart part of the energy you should feel is like, fuck yeah, we're doing this. And so, you kind of get this idea that like, I'm going to bet and I'm going to go sort of all in on this insight that I have. There's no looking back. I'm crossing through the portal, right, into the next dimension now of doing customer development. But like, why do I think this is important? Unfortunately, I think the present has stopped working, and it hasn't just stopped working in politics. It stopped working, I believe, in business as well. The Fortune 500 spent $800 billion in 2019 just to buy back their own stock. And when you do that, that's exercising a learned form of helplessness. That says that I've abandoned all pretenses that I can innovate. That says that I don't have confidence in my people to come up with breakthrough ideas, and that I would just rather financially engineer my stock price upward and daydream that I'm growing rather than actually grow. So I think, unfortunately, like right now, fake growth it's the hidden secret that is as widespread in business as fake news is in politics. It's the thing that's hidden in plain sight everywhere. And so in the end, I believe that it's incumbent on us, whatever contribution we make to startups in the future, is to create a different future that's not based on fake growth, that is instead based on legitimate breakthroughs that move humanity forward into these better futures that we'd like to see, rather than just pretending and daydreaming that we're moving forward when in fact we're just marching on a straight line and pretending to grow by buying back our own stock and financially engineering things and taking advantage of low interest rates to borrow money to buy more stock. And so, you know, this idea that the Fortune 500 in the last 12 years has either dividended out or bought back over $7 trillion of stock, I think is a pathetic failure of leadership of a lot of what we're seeing out there. So I'll stop talking for a while. Thanks everybody for listening, and good luck to the teams today. And if folks want to keep in touch, we have a podcast where we talk to the super performing founders and the thought leaders who've been at the front row seat of all these great startups. You know, people like Mark Andreessen, Reid Hoffman, Todd McKinnon, Jerry Yang's coming up here pretty soon. We recorded his episode. And the purpose of Starting Greatness is to talk to these people, not about today's realities, not about software eating the world, but we talked to Mark Andreessen about what was it like before Netscape blew up, or, you know, Todd McKinnon, what was it like when Okta was Sasher and it was 0 to 1 and you missed your number and almost couldn't raise money. So that's the podcast. Then, you know, I'm fairly active on Twitter. I'm still a fan of those folks. So I probably should stop talking for the time being. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take any questions, or if anybody wants to call BS, I'm happy to do that too.
Well, wow, Mike, that was incredible as always. Really insightful, and there's been tons of comments the whole time we've been doing this. There's hundreds of people watching on the live stream, and a lot of really great insights. I've been taking notes. I've read your blog post, and I've heard you talk about different things before, but I always, every time I hear you talk, I take away different things I'm going to go do for myself. So that was really insightful.
Cool.
We only have time for a couple questions, but I've been, from what I've seen in the feed and then one of my own, I think I've got two for you.
Okay.
The first one's kind of obvious, and it comes out of the questions from the group. But what, you know, you talk about these inflection points. Right now, the world has just changed dramatically in a short period of time. And it seems like there's probably some big inflection points that you might be seeing now that you might not have been thinking about even just a few months ago. So that was one of the questions from the audience is, what are some big inflection points you see right now?
Yeah, so there's inflection. A lot of the inflection points I'm seeing right now are belief inflections. And so, for example, could somebody create a company similar to Palantir but for pandemics? I think you could today, but I don't think you could have February 15th, right?
Yep.
I don't think people would have been energized enough to care to have a preventive strategy. I think that it's likely that we'll decide to relocalize our supply chains. And so I think that that's going to have a big positive impact on advanced manufacturing and, you know, collaborative robots on manufacturing floors. I think that'll be interesting. I think that telemedicine could be interesting because you have regulatory change where people could practice it across state lines, but you also just have more people who have tried it and they say, hey, you know, this actually isn't too bad. And so I think that will be interesting. I think that everybody's talking about the future of work and, you know, distributed teams and things like that. So but I still think there's a lot of room to maneuver there. One of the interesting distance learning, obviously, you know, everybody's with their kids at home and figuring out what they like and don't like and what's missing. One of the things that I wonder about is, will there be some type of equivalent of a New Deal that helps millions of people get back to work, and that ends up becoming the impetus for the United States and the Western world to invest trillions of dollars in upgrading our infrastructure? I have mixed feelings about whether that's a good idea, but you know, I kind of have to look at the world for what it is, and I think that it's likely something like that could happen. So I think that that's, you know, those are some of the things that I've been thinking about recently. But, you know, there's the one thing that's been fun about my job as an investor that, you know, was tougher when I was an entrepreneur is I have a little bit of a luxury of, like, some of these founders come in and surprise you with things that you would have never thought of. And you're like, whoa, that just changed my reality.
Right.
And so, you know, my hope is that that'll keep happening.
Great. What about geographically? Is this an inflection point for people for Silicon Valley?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that trends were already moving a little bit away from Silicon Valley. I think Silicon Valley will still be super meaningful. Like, I don't think it's going to decline like Detroit did in the 70s or something like that. So I think that there's still great entrepreneurs and a great culture for entrepreneurship. But I think two things are kind of interesting. One is I think lean startup values and approaches have been exported widely throughout the world. Remote first work has started to catch on. So I think now not being in Silicon Valley, it won't be as much of a barrier in terms of the lack of an ability to form networks like you needed to be there for some things in the past. The other thing, though, is now I think it's more tenable to start a company in San Francisco with the idea that it's distributed from day one.
Mm-hmm.
So,
just because you started there doesn't mean it's the only place.
Yeah, 9 months ago, I was like, I don't even know if I can fund companies in San Francisco anymore because they want to locate in Soma and have 5 flavors of coconut water in the fridge and have a bunch of expensive stuff where the only people getting rich are the landlords. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't even know how you, and then you got Google and Facebook offering your best data scientists, millions of dollars a year. And so they just almost can't afford to stay. And so you're like, gosh, it's like crazy expensive to build a startup and get traction momentum. So we were trying to figure out, okay, what does a startup look like that's based in California? But now I think that people are going to look at it as that's going to be less of the discussion. It's going to be the entrepreneurs will be where they are, and then they'll be remote first by design, I think.
Yeah. All right. I got one more question for you. This is for me, but I think others will find it interesting too. So we have a group of EIRs at Capital Factory, some of our mentors and experienced entrepreneurs who are ready to start their next thing. We do different things to try to help match them up with each other and help them figure out their next event or the next project they're going to work on. Say we wanted to have a backcasting session and get together and go through an exercise. Can you kind of just think through a little bit? Like, say some of the people listening here, they want to get together and do what you just said. You gave us a good roadmap so far, but what would a working session look like?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because we're doing some of that already, and if you folks ever want to collaborate on that stuff, I'd be happy to. So what I've started to do is create templates, and so we started to come up with these ideas, and then I would work with founders, and they'd say, "Hey, I like this idea of backcasting. Like, what do I do now?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, what do they do now? Okay, how about this? Here's a data room of inflection templates. Check it out." And then they would fill it out and they'd say, "Hey, but I have a question about this. And I kind of think you missed out on that. What about this? And have you thought about this?" And, great founders, they'll jump right in front and ahead of you in thinking about it, and they'll sharpen the thoughts. And so over time, I've just been trying to document all the different, how do you come up with a structured way to think about inflections? How do you come up with a structured way to think about practitioners and seers? And how do you frame what questions you're going to ask? And how do you create an insights journal and, those types of things and, over time. And so that's mainly what I do. But my main goal is just to facilitate it. Like, what I find is once a great founder gets on the scent, that's just like, you can't even stay pace with them.
That's great. Well, Mike, thanks so much for taking the time to spend with us today. It was awesome. It was really helpful. Like I said, I learned a lot today, and I know everybody else did too. As a reminder, like Mike said, he's got an incredible podcast. I'm sure, as you can imagine from what you heard today, imagine him talking to Mark Andreessen or other really great people. It's awesome. And I know it's awesome. And I've heard so many friends of mine tell me how great it is and how much they enjoy listening to it. So go check out his podcast, read his blog post about backcasting, which is on Medium. And thanks again. I really appreciate you coming to spend time with us today, Mike.
Yeah, I guess just
thank you so much. I love reading your blog posts, and I love hearing your thoughts. You're such a great thought leader. And outside of being one of the most amazing investors, you're an amazing human being. So thanks for all you give, and for all the thought and effort you put into what you do. Thank you. Zoom round of applause is over.
It is just one more thought in all this, if that's okay.
Please.
I remember my grandparents, my grandfather fought in World War II, and they were retrospectively called the greatest generation. And I think about what's happening now, 25 million people losing their jobs. And the people who are on this Zoom, my instinct is that you have a chance to be that in the 21st century. People talk about baby boomers, people talk about, Gen Z, Gen X, whatever, but the greatest generation was special. And so as you think about what you want to do next, whether it's a startup, whatever it is, I think it's useful to kind of say, what would it look like if I was going to be a prime mover in being part of the greatest generation of the 21st century? Because damn, do we need it right now?
Yeah, we do.
So anyway, sorry, I kind of get off of this stuff, but anyway, good luck. Yeah.
Mike, that's so true. I don't know who's cutting onions in here, but this is an extraordinary group of young leaders, and I'm really excited to kick it off with a female-founded company who is the epitome of everything we're talking about. So as we move into pitches, I just love those closing thoughts from Mike. So with that, first up, we have Sydney, Marvin, and Pocket Punch.
Hi, everyone. Okay. Imagine you pull into a parking garage, and to your surprise, a car pulls in behind you, blocking you in. 4 individuals get out of the car and attempt to assault you. Luckily, you're able to get away with your life. This is the exact situation that my co-founder, Ashley, found herself in a year ago. My name is Sydney Marvin, and I'm a co-founder of Pocket Punch. And I'm here to tell you that Ashley is not the only one who has felt this way. According to the FBI, a violent crime occurs in the United States every 24.6 seconds. And the violent crime rate rose from 2015 to 2018 by 20%. That's an additional 604,000 victims. Ashley and I both go to the University of Texas. And so we pulled the daily crime logs reported to UTPD in 2019. And these were the crime reports in that year alone. Even the president of the university has sent out 2 emails in the past semester detailing the increase in violent crime. And although UT is doing everything they can to combat this issue, as students, we wanted to come up with our own solution. And our solution is Pocket Punch. Pocket Punch is a multifunctional handheld self-defense device that includes knuckles, a pepper spray, a flashlight, an auditory alarm, and a safety point. Never before have all 5 of these components been combined into one easy-to-use handheld device. And because knuckles were legalized in the state of Texas on September 1st, 2019, Pocket Punch is now patent pending. But we are more than just a product. We help prepare our customers by creating a how-to-use video and partnering with local self-defense organizations. We also empower them by giving them the confidence and ability to protect themselves. Lastly, we do protect by either intimidating an attacker enough to prevent the attack or injuring an attacker enough to get away with your life. The non-lethal global self-defense market in 2018 was $2.4 billion and is expected to grow to above $2.5 billion by the year 2025. The portion of the market that we're trying to target is that college student market. So there are 20 million college students in the United States, 1.5 million college students in Texas, and over 180,000 college students in Austin alone. I'm going to touch on this market a little bit later on, but let's see what devices are being bought. So in this non-lethal global self-defense market, the devices are either not multifunctional or too expensive. And if you bought all 4 of the components in Pocket Punch on their own, it would cost you an average of over $80. Whereas the cost of Pocket Punch is only $39.99, making it both multifunctional and affordable. So once again, our target market is that college student population. And Pocket Punch is really unique because we were founded by 5 female college students here at the University of Texas. And we created a device that we would actually want to carry. Later on, we would like to appeal to college males, runners, parents, realtors, etc. Right now, we are selling through our e-commerce site, and the way that we are driving sales is through guerrilla marketing campaigns on social media. We'll also be doing influencer and ambassador marketing at Texas college campuses such as A&M, UT, Texas State. We will partner with self-defense classes. We recently did a class with Bike Club in West Campus, and Austin Self-Defense has been posting about us on their social media. We will also like to partner with anti-violence organizations such as Safe Horns, and we want to promote a virtual parent and freshman orientation. Pocket Punch launched pre-order sales on April 28th, 2020, and so far we now have over $15,000 in pre-order revenue. We have been featured on Fox 7, CBS Austin, and Austin Business Journal. And now there will be over 350 people protected by a Pocket Punch, some of whom are in the audience today. So help us keep up the momentum and pre-order your Pocket Punch. Also, help us bring power to your punch. Pocket Punch needs $100,000 in order to obtain our non-provisional patents, including design and utility. We also need this to complete our first batch of manufactured units and to improve on some of our marketing strategies that we currently have going on today. And with that, I would like to say thank you from Team Pocket Punch. A huge thank you to all of our very powerful mentors. And once again, I'm Sydney Marvin, and I'd like to invite you to bring power to your punch.
Love it. Great job, Sydney. All right, next up, we have the team from Fly with Lucius McDaniel.
Wait, what? Hello, everyone. Let's see. Hi, my name is Lucius McDaniel, and I'm a co-founder at Fly. Fly is a web-based platform that helps your clubs and communities collect and manage payments. On top of building Fly, I'm also a student, which means I juggle classes, extracurriculars, and extracurricular activities. But on top of all of that, I also manage a budget of $93,000 every year as the treasurer of my student organization. Across the country, there are students from over 588,000 student organizations, just like mine, who transact over $5 billion per year. Now, in order to collect all of this money, I first have to create events using multiple platforms. I then have to collect the money using my own personal payment accounts. And then at the end of every single event, I've got to write down who paid me and how much in cluttered Excel spreadsheets. As a result of this chaos, we often miss out on the opportunity to collect even more money from the people that are our supporters for the causes we care about most. Additionally, this leads to mismanagement of funds, and unfortunately, we lose out on crucial financial information every single year. With these problems in mind, we created Fly, the best way for organizations to collect and manage payments. Organizations can create their Fly account and their first campaign in just minutes. Immediately, they receive a QR code and a link that takes their supporters to a custom campaigns page where they can then make payments using multiple payment options, including Venmo. Research shows that when you offer multiple payment options, you actually increase your revenue by 6.7%, which is an additional $6,000 per year for organizations just like mine. As payments start rolling in, Fly makes it effortless for organization leaders to see who's paid and how much in real time, as well as track and share key metrics about each campaign. Then at the end of the year, Fly makes it effortless for organizations to transition to leadership without losing key financial data points. Currently, the options for organizations are quite limited. Some organizations may consider using a combination of Venmo and Excel sheets. However, this takes a long time to set up, and it lacks automatic payment tracking. Secondly, groups may consider using platforms like GoFundMe. However, this platform has a high 15% transaction fee, which is unbearable by most student organizations. Additionally, they lack integrations with Venmo, which is the preferred payment method by over 90% of student organizations. And finally, GoFundMe is just not built for teens. Lastly, we've got platforms like Membership Toolkit. Although Membership Toolkit is robust, again, it's not built specifically for student organizations, so they lack certain features, again, like a Venmo integration. And finally, their high upfront and monthly fees make them very cost prohibitive for these groups. With these holes in the market, we created Fly, a platform for students by students. Fly safely and securely integrates with Venmo, is quick and easy to set up, and we make collecting payments automatic and a breeze for organizations. Over the past few weeks, we've already conducted over 30 demos with potential customers at UT and across the country. What we've realized is that our beachhead market is student organizations here on the 40 acres because they're both underserved and accessible. Our plan is to use our home field advantage to truly capitalize and understand this market before we extend our product to other campuses and other types of organizations. In just the past few weeks, we've already received 3 commitments from organizations to help them process over $75,000 in transactions next semester alone. And we believe that we can increase this number from 3 to 20 based on the positive feedback that we've already received. Our team has a strong background in finance, engineering, and fundraising for student organizations. And we know that this will help us build a product that truly resonates with our users. Today, we want you to join us on our mission to help students spend less time collecting money and more time supporting the people and causes they care about most. In the spirit of giving, Fly is doing a special fundraising campaign on behalf of Stand With Austin, which is a local nonprofit fund that was created to support the people and businesses most negatively impacted by the cancellation of South by Southwest due to COVID-19. To see how easy it is to support your very own community using Fly, scan this QR code and make a contribution. Today, we're asking you to join us in Standing With Austin. Thank you.
This fantastic presentation. Way to go. Next up, we have John Gabriel and Bruxaway.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Gabriel, and I'm representing Bruxaway, a dental tech company building one of the world's first smart night guards designed to treat and reduce bruxism. Bruxism is a medical term for the unconscious grinding, gnawing, and clenching of your teeth at night or when you're awake. It's usually caused by stress and sleep apnea and causes significant damages to your mouth, causing tens of thousands of dollars in repairs due to failed implants or crowns, cracked teeth, the TMJ disorder. The list goes on and on. You see, I myself suffered from bruxism, where I actually shaved off 1 millimeter of my teeth without realizing it. Sadly, I'm not alone. 30 million American adults are estimated to have bruxism, over 80% unaware they even have the condition. Chances are you or your loved one have bruxism and have no clue. That's not the only surprising thing. If you go to any dentist in the US right now, you'll be presented with a hard plastic night guard, which doesn't treat or reduce bruxism, yet it's marketed to the masses. It often needs constant replacement. It costs a whopping $600 on average. It is one of the world's most expensive chew toys. With our technology, we seek to revolutionize this industry and usher in a new era of bruxism solutions. By combining the best of both worlds, dental expertise and wearable technology, we're creating the IntelliSplit, one of the world's first smart night guards designed to treat and reduce bruxism. Think of it like Invisalign, like a cross between Invisalign and Fitbit. The way it works is through a technique called biofeedback. So essentially, you put it on at light like a normal night guard. If it detects you grinding, they give you a little buzz which will prompt you to stop without waking you up. The benefits of the device to the patient are tremendous, as we will save them from further mouth damages, such as the TMJ disorder, as well as thousands of dollars in lifetime replacement costs for these night guards. Since there are limited solutions in the market, the hard plastic night guard is a predominant solution offered by over 200,000 dentists in the US, a $4 billion market. Our goal is to replace every single night guard with the IntelliSplit and become the world's #1 bruxism solutions company by 2025. To do so, we're targeting 20,000 cash dentists in the US. We're also implementing our strategy by marketing our product as a diagnostics tool, which will allow us to bypass the FDA as we're not making any medical claims. In the background, we'll be getting our main bruxism solutions through the FDA process, which is expected to take between 9 to 12 months. Our overall goal is to reach the masses with a B2C Smile Direct Club strategy. So right now, we're targeting dentists as our main distributors to the patients. Unlike Invisalign, who initially received negative initial interest from orthodontists, dental professionals already want our product. In fact, of the 62 dental interviews and surveys we conducted over the past month, 80% were willing to pay more for our solution, and 30 even signed up to trial the product. Since each dentist is different, the estimated ARR per dentist is between $15,000 to $30,000. To date, we've created a working prototype that's currently in the testing phase. We're about 3 months away from finalizing the product. In order to bring this product to the market and disrupt the status quo, I will assemble a team with diverse expertise and experience. It includes mentors from CEOs in the medical device space right now to lecturers in one of the world's leading continuing general education courses in the world. Combined with the drive, determination, and expertise to bring this product to the forefront of the dental industry. And today we're seeking a $500,000 investment in the form of a convertible note, which would facilitate an 18-month runway and allow us to generate $500,000 in gross revenues by our next funding round. Bruxism isn't going away anytime soon, and it's actually increased with this whole COVID situation, which, by the way, has not stopped us. Dentists in the US, Mexico, and Canada are waiting to try our product. The market is hungry for innovation, and the first company to deliver on this issue will reap huge rewards. If you're interested in helping us become one of the world's leading Bruxism solutions company, please scan this QR code to get my contact information. Thank you, and we hope you have a great day.
All right, John, thank you very much. I was wishing I had a Bruxaway guard last night when I woke up with clenched teeth. Our next presenter is Kyle and the team from Dive.
Throughout, followed by dinner plans and then a night out on the town with another group afterwards. That's about the average day in the life of a college student every day. And you'd expect that being at the forefront of technological adoption, students would have an effective way to manage the relationships and groups in their increasingly hectic lives. Well, that's where you'd be wrong. Existing solutions simply aren't getting the job done. On the one hand, you have basic messaging apps. They're great for one-on-one communication and get the job done for groups of up to about 20. On the other hand, the more organized solutions that are built for larger groups specifically aren't designed to be lightweight or approachable, and so they're not built for everyday consumers. College students aren't the only group experiencing the lack of an adequate communication medium. The social media landscape is evolving as Gen Z is actively turning away from the catch-all of Facebook to more niche and specific platforms built with a narrower focus like Snapchat and TikTok. The only missing piece of the puzzle is a place for Gen Z communities to communicate and interact. That's why we're building Dive, the first ever platform that combines the organization and effectiveness of channel-based communication seen in Slack with the approachability of a straightforward messaging solution like iMessage. I'm gonna go ahead and roll a quick clip. Seamless messaging experience and integrating key features that students have been asking for, like traditional group chats in addition to channel-based ones, being a truly cross-platform experience, including a web app, and powerful events integration, we're able to allow college social groups to form stronger and more genuine communities online that help build a better social life in person. The best part is that college students across the United States are already resonating with our product. We're currently in a closed beta with 100 users who are giving our development team valuable feedback to improve the product. We've also built a network of 95 student ambassadors from 42 colleges who are actively building interest for Dive across their campuses. We've reached over 4,000 emails in our interest form, and we're excited to announce that just last night we received confirmation that we've been funded by the Genesis Fund here at UT, which brings us to a total of $9,000 in non-dilutive funding, which gives us the runway we need to grow throughout the summer. The business model is quite simple. Though user traction and retention will certainly be our focus for the foreseeable future, we've been conducting user interviews and thinking deeply about generating revenue at scale. Through our paid groups model, anyone can create a paywalled group where users simply pay a small subscription fee to the group admins to gain access, while Dive will then take a small percentage of that fee. With use cases ranging from college organization dues to niche digital communities, we're excited to see how users take advantage of this. The paid group model also ensures that Dive will operate as a fully functional platform for free users forever. In terms of market size, we are building a platform to support the fastest growing generation in history, one that's more tech savvy and well connected than any other. We recognize that this is an audacious goal, but beginning with college organizations will create loyal lifetime users out of the millions of Gen Zers starting college every year. We're kicking off the next step of our journey by launching to 10 major campuses this summer with the goal of reaching 50,000 active users by the end of August. Down the road, we recognize that college students really are just the tip of the iceberg. Gen Zers create communities of all kinds based on shared interests, social influencers, major world events, and countless other factors. And we hope that Dive will be the platform to support them all. We know that in order to build a world-class messaging experience, we needed to have a world-class team. And so our core team has both the technical expertise and business acumen needed to successfully build and grow Dive. Not just that, over the last 2 months, we've onboarded over 40 interns across our development, design, marketing, and social media teams that will work with us over the course of the summer to grow Dive at light speed. This is the Dive family right now, and we are excited to continue to see it grow. We are looking to open up communication with mentors, advisors, and people interested in investing in Dive in the future. So I'll drop my personal phone number and email in the chat in just a minute. We invite you to dive in with us to help us build the future of social group communication. Be sure to check out our website at dive.chat, and thank you so much for listening.
Great job. All right. Moving along. Next up, we have JD and the team from Lease Easy.
Awesome. Hey guys, my name is JD Patil. I'm one of the founders of Lease Easy. We're a rental marketplace for monthly stays. I think it can be best explained by watching our video. There is a need for a marketplace for medium-term rentals. You know, anything that can be booked for between 1 month and 12 months. I mean, if you really dissect your options, on one end of the spectrum, you have traditional search sites, like apartments.com, which aren't really meant to help people find monthly stays. They're more geared for annual leases. On the other side of the spectrum, you have short-term rental sites like Airbnb, where a lot of hosts actually decline monthly stay requests because it becomes a hassle for vetting renters and it actually hurts their margins. And so as a renter, it becomes difficult finding stays that are available for entire months. The few that are typically very expensive and way over market price. And so, most renters that fall in this category actually resort to Craigslist and Facebook subleasing groups, which are incredibly unreliable and ridden with scams. We created Lease Easy as a marketplace for rentals that can be booked on flexible leases. We really set out to do two main things. We wanted to bring renters access to a broad variety of accommodations regardless the length of their stays. That's reflected in the type of listings we have, from large apartments run by property management companies to extended stay hotels even. We're currently talking with a few co-living spaces and of course sublets. We're really trying to touch on as many different types as possible. Now, the other thing is that we wanted to make the rental arbitrage process as safe as possible for both the renters and the hosts, because after all, we're dealing with monthly stays, which can be a little tricky. And so that being said, we vet both hosts and renters. We're actually also looking into providing all hosts with a sample lease that they can provide to interested tenants. On the renter side, we make them upload a government ID to confirm their profile, and we're also looking to implement background checks, credit checks, as well as a proof of employment or enrollment if they're students. We want to make Lease Easy the go-to platform for anyone looking for a month-to-month stay. Awesome, so I hope that gave you guys a better understanding of what we're all about. I do want to touch on a few things, one of which is our revenue structure. I'm sure a lot of you guys might be wondering about that. So most listings can be booked straight through our platform. And in this case, we charge landlords a 7% fee and renters a 2% fee of the total rent that they'd paid throughout the duration of their stay. Now, the one exception is going to be large apartments that are operated by really big property management companies, you know, the Greystars of the world. For them, we just provide them with leads, and for each lead that ends up converting into a signing, we then charge a 7% fee. However, we are working with some of our partners to get them integrated into our platform as well. And so you might be wondering, you know, how large really is this marketplace for medium-term rentals, right? Well, it's estimated to be at around $20 billion in the United States alone. And we really think Austin is one of the best cities for this market to launch. Our early adopter user groups are going to be focused on students, interns, and traveling healthcare professionals, which total around 10,000 people in Austin. And of course, that brings us to traction, because the numbers do matter. And we really are super excited about the progress we've made so far. So we've already had 12 apartments onboarded onto our platform, 10 of which are large 50+ unit properties. And next, I want to talk about a metric that really excites us the most. It speaks to the renter side of our marketplace. We have over 50 tenants that have already signed a lease. So of those 50, the first 30, we actually placed for free at our partner properties as a proof of concept to really show that this concept works. And every tenant after that, we monetized. And so from that monetization, we generated over $4,000 in revenue so far, with over $275,000 in unique rent that we've generated for our partners. Right now, we're at an average dollar amount per booking of about $210. And so just before I finally wrap up, I want to give a shout out to my co-founder and CTO, Avner. He handles the entire product development side of our platform, and you know he's been great so far. We are actually going to be relaunching our new site, which you can see in the link below, within the next 4 weeks. So definitely check it out in a month or so when it's ready, at the link below. And that's least easy for you guys. I hope you enjoyed our pitch.
Great job, JD. I love that you're solving a problem that's not widely talked about. Okay, our next competitor is Jay Williamson and the team from My Mentor Network.
Imagine being back in your high school senior year shoes. It's getting to be that time where you're going to start making decisions about your future. However, you have no idea what you want to do with the rest of your life. You're stressed out, your parents are on your back, and you're really nervous for what the future holds. So what if I came to you with an opportunity? An opportunity where you get to work in the ocean, help keep the environment safe, make more than $80,000 a year, and it doesn't require a college degree. At this point, this probably sounds pretty nice. You're wondering, you know, why haven't you known about this? And I feel confident that if I gave you 1,000 guesses, you wouldn't actually be able to come up with what this profession is. For this is the job of an underwater welder. Underwater welding, you're thinking, that's never something I saw myself doing, but it sounds so interesting. Why hadn't I considered it before? And that really gets into the heart of the problem, in that students at the high school and community college levels have no idea what they want to do with themselves. And it stems from a limited availability of student-focused career information. What's out there right now is old and stagnated, and it doesn't promote an individualistic career discovery. Furthermore, in our own personal networks, we typically lack professional connections in the jobs that we're interested in. And this is where we come in. How's it going, everybody? My name is Jay Williamson, and this is My Mentor Network. My Mentor Network looks to solve these problems by exposing students to career information that comes in the form of featured content with industry-leading professionals, as well as a crowdsourced Q&A platform in which students will make accounts, choose careers that they're interested in, and ask questions to professionals within those careers. Our featured content namely comes in the form of a podcast series called The Ride Along. We started this about 4 weeks ago, and we've already had some amazing guests, ranging from the Austin Police Chief, Chief of Staff in the Texas Capitol, a heating and air conditioning company owner, and several entrepreneurs. It's been really great for our users and for us, and so far, we have 2 videos that have racked up over 1,000 views, and typically they're averaging close to 400 to 500. We hope to use the momentum from this podcast series to launch our crowdsourced Q&A platform in 10 high schools in the upcoming year. We actually ran an alpha test of our Q&A platform around 8 months ago, where we had 5 different high schools participate with 300 students and 75 professionals. And it was a great way for us to test what that engagement looked like between students and professionals. And they really enjoyed, on a student perspective, having so many different professionals that they could ask questions to. And it helped us determine what content we can deliver in the future to provide the most value. Furthermore, we're looking on adding a live Q&A series in which students will be able to ask a panel of professionals questions live. When it comes to breaking down the market, it's simply ginormous when it comes to ed tech, with over a $252 billion valuation, which looks to just continually increase as schools and institutions look to deliver content online. Furthermore, a statistic that is really important to the My Mentor Network team is that over 53% of Americans say they're unhappy in their current career. And we think a lot of this stems from early, uninformed career decisions made early in their career journey. And we have to do everything in our power to bring that statistic down. Our go-to-market strategy are paid advertisements and sponsorships that come from higher educational institutions. Enrollment has progressively gone down since 2011, while online spending has progressively gone up. And we like to capture this by helping serve as an intermediary between students and higher educational institutions. Looking at the competition, there is no one that is as student-focused as we are that offers near the amount of content that we do. Current incumbents typically just have old videos made 10 to 15 years ago that demonstrate what certain careers are like. And there are other Q&A platforms available. However, they don't have the level of student-focused or the level of content that we offer. We're really a one-stop shop for students to get on the site and learn about the careers that they could be potentially interested in. Thank you guys very much for allowing me to come, pitch, and present today. We've really enjoyed being in Longhorn Startup. The entire process has been amazing. I want to encourage everyone listening to follow us on our social media handles at The Ride Along, as well as if there's any professionals in the audience who potentially want to come on our podcast, we'd love for you to email us and work with us to bring down that 53% statistic. Thank you.
Great job, Jay. It's been a pleasure watching My Mentor Network work on finding the right market this year, so good job. All right, next up we have Andrew and the team from Pinit.
Hey y'all, my name is Andrew. I'm a co-founder of Pinit. Pinit is an iPhone app for discovering, creating, and updating crowdsourced maps that you can find new spots to explore your interests. But instead of telling you about it, why don't I show you?
The world is big. Wouldn't it be nice if it were easier to find interesting spots and share them with others? That's where Pinit comes in. Pinit is an iPhone app for discovering, creating, and updating crowdsourced maps. Maps created by communities of people, so together, everyone can share and discover new locations to explore their interests. Just hop on the app and start exploring your favorite communities. Check out pins added and rated by real people in your area. Pinit's map communities make it easy for you to go out there and do your thing. When you find your own awesome spot, let your community know about it by sharing it on the map. It's as easy as snapping a picture, adding a short description, and marking the spot's location. Once you've found a neat place, go ahead and like it to save the location and let the community know that it's a good spot. Pinit makes it easy to find a community for any interest. And if you don't find one you love, you can just easily create your own. Bringing together communities that support one another by sharing valuable information is exactly what Pinit is for. Pinit. Spend less time looking and more time doing.
So now you know what Pinit is, but what makes us so special? What's the difference between us and our competitors? Our main competitors are Google Maps and Yelp. The main reason we differ from the two is that Pinit can offer its users personal recommendations from like-minded people. In a 2015 study that surveyed over 30,000 people, 83% of them preferred peer-to-peer recommendations when trying new things. It's simple. You're more likely to trust something that has been recommended to you by people you know have similar interests. And this is the exact idea behind Pinit. Another difference between Pinit and our competitors is that we allow very specific pin locations. As you saw in the video, a lot of these spots weren't commercial areas or named parks. You wouldn't be able to find them just by searching. These are the types of locations you can really only find through word of mouth or on Pinit. So how does a service like this make money? The basic version of Pinit is a free app that is available now on the App Store. The app will soon have an ad banner that advertises to users things they may be interested in. Because we know where the users are looking and what the users like, we can pinpoint our advertisements to the exact demographic that the advertisers are looking for. Using Google Ad Mod, we've estimated we'll make about $50 of profit for each 1,000 daily users per month. In the first few weeks of the app being live with no marketing campaign, we've already gained our first 100 users. Now, with most of the development out of the way, we've begun a stronger marketing campaign and put up a sponsored Instagram ad, submitted to several tech blog posts, and are working with one of the largest distributors in the kayak and fishing industries, Marina Sales. As I mentioned before, the app is available on the App Store, so if you have an iPhone, feel free to take a second to scan this QR code to download Pinit. Check out one of the existing communities, and if you can't find one you love, create your own. We hope you're excited to use this as much as we are, so you can spend less time looking and more time doing.
Great job, Andrew. It's been fun watching Pinit evolve. You know, in the beginning, I was like, what? People need to find fishing holes? And now I totally get it. You guys have come a long way and done a great job. So, round in the corner. Next up is Will Gross and the team from SIA.
Hi there. My name is Will Gross, and I'm a co-founder of SIA Solutions, a job searching platform tailored for individuals who are trying to enter the healthcare industry. We have a short little skit here explaining our product. Here it is.
We can't hear your audio, Will.
I'm very sorry.
Hey, man. Yeah, I'm not doing much right.
Are you guys able to hear it right now?
I'm just filling surveys and trying to find a new job online, you know?
They seriously pay you to fill out those surveys?
Yeah, man, filling out these surveys.
I'm very sorry. Are you guys not able to hear my volume?
Your audio just cut out.
We can hear you. When the video is playing, we can hear you. You're good.
Okay, thank you.
It's like I earn like 20, 25 cents, and you know, small things stack up, especially since I've been laid off by JCPenney. I make enough to pay off like subscriptions like Tinder and stuff like that. Super important during quarantine. How have you been since you got laid off at Dave & Buster's?
Yeah, I actually just found another job. I just got certified as a nursing assistant. Now I got offers lined up.
Dude, are you serious? You only lost your job like 3 weeks ago. I've been searching for a new job for like almost a month now. It's taken way too long.
Yeah, I just found this website called SIA. It lets you see healthcare positions in your city. With it, you can see that there are like 3 hospitals and 4 nursing homes in my area that want to hire me. And it's not just for nursing assistants, it's also for home health aides and patient escorts. Plus, in this time period, a lot of hospitals and nursing homes are in constant need of help, so I won't have to worry about being laid off.
How'd you get certified so fast? You know, I figured like these hospitals would be hiring, but getting a, BSL, whatever certification, it's just too much, man.
I thought getting those certifications would be a pain too, but SIA just makes it super easy and straightforward to see what jobs I qualify for. And what work I'll need to qualify in order to get more healthcare positions.
I don't know, man. All of this just seems too good to be true. You know, I've never heard of this SIA Solutions before. What kind of name is that?
Well, I mean, man, it is a startup after all. But I do hear they're super reliable because it says on the website that they stay in touch with hospitals and nursing homes directly, like on a weekly basis.
You know, I'm not really in the mood to like mix things up right now. I'm pretty comfortable searching tirelessly through lists after list and just getting denied based on things that I don't know, you know? And, you know, the small money I make from the surveys, it's like I should have enough to buy a Switch at the end of the month, you know?
I thought you still had to pay your bills.
Yeah, forget the bills. I'll figure that one out later. Anyways, I gotta go. Looks like Chase has said that my bank account has fallen a couple dollars under the minimum balance necessary, so I gotta figure that out.
Sorry, man. I'm really sorry to hear about that. I gotta go, though. My new drone just arrived. I bought it with all the money I've been earning because of SIA. I'll see you later, though, man.
So we are SIA Solutions, a healthcare employment platform for entry-level positions. Our platform allows anyone to get certified and find a job in the non-clinical healthcare sector. COVID-19 has disrupted many lives and left millions of people unemployed. Although we tried to be lighthearted in that video, we do understand that this is a serious issue. This calls for urgent attention for the creation of jobs to boost the economy. We want to bridge the gap between unemployment and healthcare needs using this platform. We are currently in contact with one of Houston's largest unemployment centers, Workforce Solutions, and are reaching out to hospitals and nursing homes in the Houston area. Right now, we are building up our web application and are working on our mobile design as seen here. Beyond this, we are planning on expanding our company with the $10,000 we've received from Blackstone Launchpad to fund our marketing and further our endeavor. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you see a solution with SIA Solutions.
Thanks, Will. All right. Tarun and Gather, y'all are up next. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tarun Dumala. I'm one of the co-founders of Gather, and we have a little video prepared for you guys to give you a little bit more context about who we are and what we do.
Being together used to be a fundamental part of our lives, but these days, we passively consume experiences more than we actively participate in them. Caught in the endless scroll, we watch other people make memories while forgetting to make our own. Gather is giving you back the time that social media has stolen away. It's a super-powered social events app that makes getting together as fast and easy as possible. Using our lightning-quick event engine, you can autofill calendars and send invites out to saved list of friends within seconds. Once you do, Gather recommends times that work for everyone to make long hours coordinating schedules a thing of the past. Even people who don't have the app can use Gather's automated texts to coordinate how they'll get together. You just text back if you can make it and what times work, and Gather does all of the work for you. Looks like all 5 people can make it at 3 p.m. It's a plan. And now, everyone's on their way. Making memories has never been easier, and they don't have to end with just a single plan either. You can use Gather's social map to check out new experiences around you. Make every moment fuller than the last. Gather, super-powered social events.
So I hope you all enjoyed that video and it gave you guys a bit of a clear picture as to what Gather is and what we're working towards. Our goal is to primarily combat the rising rates of loneliness, which have skyrocketed from 17% up to over 47% just in the last decade. As you saw, Gather helps fight this by making connecting in real life as fast and easy as possible. Now, I want to give you a little bit of a clear picture as to our company as a whole. So I'm going to go into our traction, revenue model, a little bit of our company direction. So we've started our journey out by targeting the over 800,000 college student organizations in the US. As both members and officers of many such orgs, we understand that these groups have both a strong need for improved event organization tools, as well as the flexibility to quickly adopt new platforms like us. And our initial traction suggests that these student orgs really are one of the best ways to gain a critical mass of users in a field where much more established platforms already exist. We've already had signups from over 900 student orgs across 700 college campuses for a total membership of about 30,000 students. Targeting these demographics will help us gather an event-driven millennial and Gen Z user base that we can leverage in any number of ways. But we believe our biggest opportunity lies in our social map feature. Hopefully, as you saw from the video, Gather's live map allows users to quickly discover and book new experiences near them. This social map also happens to serve as the keystone to how Gather generates its revenue as a social booking platform. What this means is, as part of our social map, we source events from a variety of providers, such as Ticketmaster, Eventbrite, local business events and promotions, and advertise these directly to our users. We then charge transaction fees on each commercial experience booking in order to ensure that Gather remains free for our users while still taking advantage of this massive market. We're incredibly excited about this because the market for experiences is projected to be worth over $12 billion by 2023. And if that's not impressive enough, that number has followed a 20% growth rate year over year for the last 6 years. So I know what you all are thinking, and I'm gonna take a breath and address the elephant in the room. Yes, we are a company focused on helping people connect in real life, and yes, we are in the middle of a global pandemic where people are required to socially distance and use stuff like Zoom. Thankfully, we know that quarantine isn't going to last forever, and our burn rate is low enough for us to continue operating under steady growth for years to come. For these reasons, we've decided against drastically pivoting our company, and instead are focusing our efforts on creating a meticulously crafted product and continuing to cultivate our large waiting list of eager users. When people inevitably start connecting again, Gather will be there and ready to handle the months of pent-up loneliness isolation has forced upon us. So I'm gonna leave you with this. This is our team. We're 4 talented entrepreneurs dedicated to one ambitious mission: creating a technology that's actually social, in a world where social media has done far more to divide us than it ever has to connect us. A technology that has the potential to not only become the social layer for the entire experience economy, but more importantly, your go-to tool to combat loneliness by helping you gather in real life. Thank you very much.
Great job, Tarun. Okay, next we have Suket and the team from Scent. Suket, I'll get it right one day, Suket.
Thank you, Melly. We've all had that one week full of stress where you have 3 projects, 2 assignments, not to mention that interview for that internship you desperately need is that Friday. The one thing that can solve that week is just going back to your apartment and seeing mama's homemade chicken. But instead, you go to your dining hall and see some cold, unseasoned potatoes. Hi, I'm Suket Shah, and my co-founders, Avi and Costa, both experienced these same problems our freshman year. That's why we created Scent, a peer-to-peer delivery platform that connects Texans. So you may be asking, what about traditional shipping carriers? Well, there's a couple issues for why these companies are outdated. First, they're too inefficient. This is because they require warehouses and middlemen to take their package from point A to point B. And also, they're way too costly when you want fast deliveries. This is because they need to put these packages on expedited flights. Our solution is to create a point-to-point peer-to-peer delivery marketplace. Essentially, what we're doing is that we're allowing for you to list your package onto our marketplace and allow for on-the-way drivers to take their package with them, all the way to destination B. So when we look at our statistics, we noticed a couple interesting things. When we looked in Texas, 88% of Texans lived in metropolitan areas and 43% were from 5 Texas counties. This means that we have so many Texans condensed in small areas, but they're all scattered apart into different cities. And this is where Scent comes in, because we can combine these counties and connect them. Even further, when you look at our Courier Express parcel market, it's continuing to grow, with $343 billion to be projected in 2020. Not to mention that in a post-COVID area, when we look at e-commerce sites booming, they need more and more packages to be shipped. And again, this is where we can come in, because we can fulfill these orders across cities in Texas. So how does your platform work? Well, it's pretty simple. First, you have to place a request. Essentially, you just have to list basic information about your package: size, weight, and what's in it. Next, your package gets put onto our marketplace, where carriers who are already making these trips get matched with you. So you pick which carrier you want to take your package. And lastly, you can sit back and relax, as you can see your package being tracked in real time as it goes from point A to point B directly. So what are we trying to target here? Well, we have two types of target markets. The first is the student deliveries. Our platform is optimized for delivering for dorms. This means that parents can send food and other items to their kids when they're away from them. But even further, we allowed our platform to be usable by both parents and students so that it's an all-in-one solution. The second area would be in businesses. When we look at the e-commerce era, especially in a COVID era, what we see is that many small businesses are struggling to fulfill their packages because of the supply chains. And so Sent can also solve here, because what we do is we can take these packages directly from city to city and allow for these small businesses to continue to do what they do best, which is selling their products. So when we compare ourselves to our competitors, we're pretty much different because we have an all-in-one feature. Not only are we point-to-point, meaning that there's no reason to go somewhere else or go to a middle area, but we go directly from point A to point B. We're also a marketplace. This means that we have a very low burn rate as a company because we don't have to do on-demand deliveries, but rather the marketplace and people that are already delivering can determine when they want to carry. Next, Vertex is optimized and we have the subscription model that allows for people to create recurring deliveries. As far as pricing goes, on average, a medium-sized package costs $25 to deliver from DFW to Austin. Not to mention that we get a 40% margin, meaning that we can turn a profit very quickly. And going back to that subscription feature, what we've decided to build is to build a build your own subscription model. Essentially what you can do is you can customize how frequent do you want to deliver packages and what type of package do you want to deliver. This allows for small businesses and even parents to use your solution on a repetitive scale. So who exactly are our carriers? Like I mentioned before, these are on-the-way drivers. So these are drivers that are already making their trip from point A to point B. And students, for example, are a great example when we look at the student carriers as well, because they can earn $15 per package, meaning that they can make their next trip to 6th Street as well. So as far as our traction goes, we've completed 6 orders this semester with the student side of the market, and we've continued to expand on Facebook as we're getting more and more traction on these social media platforms. So what are you waiting for? Have your package sent and open up the box. We would love to get into contact with you, so please scan this QR code and feel free to shoot us an email. We really want to hear your thoughts and opinions, and we want to see if we can make something happen for you guys or have your package sent. Thank you.
Thank you, Sukat and Team Sent. Wish my mom could send me some cookies. Okay, pitch number 11. We're almost there. Thanks for hanging out, Harsh and Pico.
Hi, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed the last pitch. And now I want to talk about Pico. Pico is a new food delivery service, and let's introduce it with a quick video.
Harsh, we're unable to hear the volume.
Affordable way. Pico is a new food delivery service that enables people to get their food in a safe, convenient, and affordable way. Let's see how it works. These are our smart lockers. We place these in populated dense areas, such as large school buildings and dorms. Drivers will never call or interact with our customers. They just place multiple orders and leave to do a next round. These lockers are specifically designed by us to be easy to use and reliable. There's no code to scan, you just hit a button on your phone and the right door opens.
Ready to use Pico? First, download the app and choose the locker you want your food to be delivered to. This is the locker outside Gregory Gym on Speedway. Then, choose a specific time for your food to be delivered, helping us batch your orders and bring prices down. Second, you order and pick up your food with no service fees, tips, and just a low flat rate of under $2.
We built Pico to be a safe, contactless food delivery service that provides great convenience and low flat rate fees. Our customers treat Pico as an everyday option for their food.
As a college student, Pico is by far the best food delivery option available. It's fast, it's affordable, and it's reliable.
As a student that's always on campus and can't really go back to get food, I love that Pico is very convenient and allows me to try a bunch of food options away from campus.
I love how seamless the Pico experience is. When you pick up your food, all you have to do is press that unlock button and the door on your food just opens up ready for you.
Great, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video and learned more about what Pico is. Now I want to take some time to talk about our traction and roadmap for the future. So since we launched 8 months ago on September 2019 at the University of Texas, we've garnered over thousands of dollars in revenue with 100 paid customers. Our customers love Pico and they come back to it very often, with the most loyal customer ordering with us 20 times. So when COVID-19 hit the University of Texas, we had insane growth. Pico was growing 50% in terms of weekly orders week over week. And while that growth has stopped, we're seeing a reaction to Pico that we've never seen before. People realize how important a safe and contactless food delivery service like Pico is. And in our initial talks with UT for official vendor agreement, UT quickly approved our current technology and is now moving forward with the rest of the process. I've personally been talking to apartment complexes around Austin, and during my conversations with them, I've heard questions like, how quickly can we get this installed? What's the fee to set this up? And we're currently moving with our legal paperwork and then setting this up with apartments in Austin. People really love Pico because of a few things. You don't have to worry about your driver, you don't have to worry about your schedule, you don't have to worry about your price, and you don't have to worry about your safety and health. Pico just works. And that's our main selling point, and that's what we're excited to bring to people in Austin and expanding outwards in the next few years. So I really hope you guys will join me on this journey and try Pico for yourselves. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Harsh. All right, last but not least, we have the Apply FYI team.
Hi, my name is Sean Risby from Apply.fyi, a website that allows students to use crowdsourced data to find internships that best fit what they're looking for. Here's a short video to show you what Apply.fyi is.
If you overhear a conversation from an engineering or business student in a university lobby, there's about a 50% chance that it's about internship. Though getting an internship at a top company can on the surface level give students bragging rights over their friends, their real power comes in their ability to give students a fast track to success in any industry they're looking to pursue. But finding an internship is hard. Websites like LinkedIn and Indeed have hundreds of junk internships, and sifting through them and finding data like salaries or interview processes for each of the companies is extremely difficult, if not just impossible. Here at Apply, we wanted to fix these pain points, so we came up with a solution to make the application experience better than ever before.
On our website, you can select the field and the type of job you're looking for and see a long list of curated jobs tailored to your major and position type. To easily find what you're looking for, filter by the industries you're interested in and sort through data like salaries, and then, with the click of a button, open the application to the company of your choice. Our simplicity takes the stress out of the job hunt, so you can effortlessly find your dream internship using data that matters.
So we started with our hypothesis that the internship search process was flawed and created a beta version of our product targeting only computer science internships last October. With no paid marketing, our website has exploded to over 39,000 student users who have applied to over 100,000 internships found through our platform. So what's next? We've realized that our website, as it is, serves more as a tool than a community. So we want to take steps to make Apply a hub for everything internships. We're in the development stages of 2 features that will make Apply the go-to website for anyone looking for an internship. The first is an application tracking system. In an increasingly competitive landscape, students apply to tens or even hundreds of companies in an effort to increase their chances of getting an internship. When we did a survey, we found that 68% of students are unsatisfied with the medium they use to track their applications. So we're building a tracking system so that users can track their entire search process. Our second new feature is a forum. Though some majors have large online communities, when we did a survey, about 83% of students didn't know where to go online to talk to other people in their field. Building communities to let students know about important information they might be missing out on so that they can reach their full potential is a mission that we are incredibly passionate about. So how are we going to make money with the platform? We've realized that our most valuable asset is our users. We get thousands of visitors from top universities, and we will be a source through which companies will gain access to them. Our users will be able to do quick applications to our partner companies, and we will screen candidates based on given specifications. We've already begun structuring a deal with a company called Content Engine, in which we will work as a recruiting agency and make a $500 commission off every candidate that they hire. We've interned at top companies and gone through the internship search process multiple times, so we know the space inside and out, which is why we are the best team to tackle the problems in the internship search process for students. So visit apply.fyi to kickstart your career by finding your dream internship using data that matters.
All right, great job. I think this deserves a round of applause. Come on, great pitches, everyone. Come on, video, give yourselves a clap and a little stretch. All right. You guys worked hard this semester and you did a fantastic job, so pat yourselves on the back. We're going to take a minute to recognize Genesis, who's been a great partner to Capital Factory for a long time. It's been fantastic watching the organization grow.
Capital Factory, but to Longhorn Startup in particular.
Yes, to Longhorn. Did I say Capital Factory?
That's okay.
One of those days. Genesis has been supporting Longhorn Startup for many years. The organization itself is growing. This year they stepped up to sponsor pizza. Our class is on Thursday nights from 6 to 8 o'clock, and they provide pizza for everyone in the class. This semester, of course, that shifted with COVID, but we're really grateful for their support. As somebody who works on UT entrepreneurship at large, I know they support a lot of our organizations and programs, so thank you. And with that, we're going to hand it over to Anuj, who's going to share a little bit about Genesis.
Hi all, great to talk. My name is Anuj Juju, and I'm an associate at Genesis. Genesis is UT's first on-campus venture fund. We're a joint student and alumni-led initiative to work and serve UT entrepreneurs and provide pre-seed funding. Students like me get to be on-campus venture capitalists working and learning under alumni, like current Longhorn Startup mentors Kelsey Kamen and Nick Spiller. 2 years ago, we stood on a physical stage for LSL Demo Day and announced Genesis had raised over $1 million in UT Austin's most successful crowdfunding campaign ever. Since then, we've continued to operate year-round, both on campus and virtually. We've evaluated hundreds of companies and grown our portfolio to fund 33 distinct student startups, and we've now raised almost $2 million for our fund. In addition, we've recruited over 30 student leaders across campus to be part of our internal leadership team, and we've started unique initiatives like the recent Women's Mentorship Program. On behalf of Genesis, I want to especially thank Josh Bayer and Melly Price for being early backers and champions for the partnership between us and Longhorn Startup. In the last 3 years, Genesis and LSL have co-invested in 10 different companies, recently including Dive, Pocket Punch, and Pico. We look forward to working hand in hand to make UT Austin the best university in the world for entrepreneurs and innovators. We'd also love to connect with all of you in the virtual audience today. Please subscribe to our newsletter at genesisut.com or directly at tinyurl.com/genesisnewsletter. Additionally, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at UTGenesis. Now I'd like to hand the mic back to LSL, and congratulations again to all the awesome companies and founders that pitched today. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks, Anuj. That we are so happy for our Genesis partnership, and Genesis is a really great program that gives great experience to student entrepreneurs and students interested in finance and venture capital. But honestly, it's just a great partnership because they really, it shouldn't be any big surprise, but one of the things we learned is the best way for us to find all the great student entrepreneurs is to ask the students. And so that's been one of the best ways we've found students for the class has been by partnering with groups like Genesis and LEA and Convergence and other groups on campus, the Blackstone Launchpad. I'm sure I'm going to miss many. UT Kelleher Center, Venture Lab. Texas Ventures, Texas Venture Lab. There's so many different ones, so I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'm sure I did. But that's really what works, and Genesis is one of our strongest partners for that. So thanks so much. So we are just coming up on the end of time. We're right on time, but I'm glad to see that we got almost everybody still watching to find out who the winner is of the $25,000 investment prize from Capital Factory. And the class is officially over. Everybody's been graded. They've received their grades, or they've all been submitted. And this now has nothing to do with the class. This is a separate prize that comes after. We have a lot of great companies, and many of them are fundraising. They opted in whether or not they wanted to participate in this challenge, and not every company did. So you should not assume that every company was competing for this prize. Not every company has the same fundraising plan. Not all of them are raising money right now, and not all of them, necessarily are a fit for the terms of this investment prize. So keep that in mind when we do it, but there still can only be one winner. And so this winner receives a $25,000 investment on a convertible note, on a standard convertible note, just like any other company coming to Capital Factory would. And then also gets accepted into our accelerator program. And, like a lot of the times when Capital Factory puts up money in an investment competition, we think about it a lot like the X Prize. It's a way to get everybody's attention and to attract things. We do it around diversity, we do it around defense, we do it around artificial intelligence or other themes. But it doesn't just result in one winner, even if there's one winner that day, because the fact of doing it means we meet lots of companies, and it brings in lots of companies. And I know there are lots of companies that I saw here today that we'd like to work with. But only one wins the $25,000.
Who is it? Who is it, Josh?
And that one is Lee Seezy.
Awesome.
So, congratulations. Give a big round of applause for Lee Seezy. I'm sure you can't hear the hundreds of people clapping, but thank you guys so much. They've made really significant progress over the semester. They've got real revenue and a real business, and a pretty clearly defined market that they're going after, and really excited to help support them further. Like I said, lots of others that we're really close and that we'd like to work with too. So thanks so much, and congratulations to Lee Seezy. Thank you, Melly. Thank you to all the mentors. Thank you to Mike Maples. Thank you to the university for letting us do all this and put this on. Thanks to Bob Metcalf and John Butler and Ben Dyer and other people that helped create this class. Bruce Porter, who this class would not exist without when he ran the CS department, and Don, who helps support us now. So thank you all.
The entire CS team helps us with Longhorn Startup Demo Day, College of Natural Sciences, engineering, McCombs, everyone who refers students to us. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. And these videos will get whole video will be posted. The videos that the individual teams had will get posted, and we'll probably send a follow-up email to everybody after with links to all of it. So thank you again, and Hookem, we'll see you next year.
Yeah, we need to do a video, a screenshot. Can everyone come off of their video? We usually do a picture on stage with all the competitors, but this is our stage this year, so let's do it. I'll take some screenshots when we're ready.
All right.
Waiting for Andrew and a couple others.
We're all piling in. Boom, 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 boom.
Hey, I love it. Abner, are you there?
Hookem?
Get a Hookem. All right. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. And thanks to Mike Maples. What a compelling keynote and a heartfelt call for leadership. So as y'all move forward in your academic careers, remember you hold the keys to being the next generation. So keep doing great work. Thank you. And thanks for all your hard work this semester.
Thanks, everybody.